Yo, what's up? Bob here. Welcome to the Bob Brand YouTube channel. Today, I thought I would make a little video for you guys. Just some happenings with me. I've been working on the pre-production for the new Condors in the System record. We're writing tunes, we're figuring out the arrangements, we're collecting the gear that we're going to use on the recordings. Yeah, that's right. You may have seen a video I did with Brad, the guitarologist, where he souped up an old basement amp of mine and really kind of made it a big beastly monster. That is for sure going to be on the new record. But that said, I started thinking about my mic array that I would use to mic up the cabinet. And I wanted to get a vintage Shure mic. I've been using a 57 on my cabs for all the records with a Royer 121 ribbon mic. But I wanted to get a vintage Shure mic just to kind of add a little mojo to the signal chain there. And I came across some microphones on the internet, of course, from the Julian's Music Icons auction, right? Happened on May the 30th and the 31st in New York City at 10 a.m., right? And these are mics from Frank Zappa estate, assorted Shure microphones, and pouches from Frank's personal items, probably used in the studio, or, you know, the Shure SM57 mic is pretty much a standard kit for any musician, used on guitar cabinets and snare drums. Really, it's a very versatile mic, can be used on anything. But these came from Frank, and he was probably using these when they were touring or in the studio, any application that he felt like he needed a nice dynamic mic for. This is a Unidyne 3, made in the USA, from the Shure Brothers Incorporated. This is before all the production went to Mexico. That's why it's called the Unidyne 3 SM57. Was looking for one of these old mics, and as you can see, this particular mic has been well used. Quite a bit of wear and tear just on the body of the mic here, probably just thrown in a mic pouch with all kinds of other microphones. Speaking of mic pouches, came with this cool mic pouch. This is a typical Shure mic pouch from the period, with the Shure logo embossed on this side. Joe's Garage, kind of spray painted here. You know, when you go on tour, you generally kind of label every piece of gear with the tour name or artist name, just to make sure that none of it gets left behind. So this is very cool. Came with the microphone. Also came with the little Julian's auction coupe sheet there. Frank in the 70s, you know, typical records from Zappa. Zoodalers, yes. This is Zappa and Beefheart. You might know this record because it has The Muffin Man on it. Shake Your Booty, or Chic Your Booty. Apostrophe. Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. And of course, Joe's Garage. Very, very Fish-like sounding record. I bet they pull quite a bit of influence from this record, especially in the vocal delivery. That said, we can't be sure what this microphone was used on, or if it was used on any of those. Probably used on stage quite a bit, just from the look of the wear and tear on the mic. But just the idea that Frank's, or anyone in the band, his guitar was ripping through this mic at one point, maybe the snare drum from Terry Bozzio. It's hard to say. This was in the Zappa estate's possession until this year or so. Frank had this pretty much up until the time that he passed, and I'm sure he got a lot of good use out of it. The Shure Unidyne microphone like this, the 3, was introduced in '69 and pretty much was done with production by probably '85. I don't know the exact dates, but that's probably very, very close. So this could have gone as far back as Hot Rats and definitely into the 80s Frank material. Like I said, this is probably more of an on-stage mic, but it was with the other studio mics. So probably using this mic to, mic up whatever he needed to do. Maybe even sung a little bit of, scratch vocals or something through this. Zappa is known for having a insanely killer mic collection, so I'm sure he was using most of the big-time German tube mics on the things that were super important, like vocals and room mics and stuff. But the 57 is a highly useful mic and has now found a permanent home in my signal chain. Frank Zappa's Unidyne 357. I'll plug it in, play some stuff through it, just to let you hear how it sounds. Just run some different pedals and things. Just goof around on the guitar. Nothing serious. Just to kind of let you hear what the mic sounds like. So, all right, guys, until we meet again, Bob out.